Well, if it isn't the Rothschilds. Yeah, if you are one of those guys who wanna know what the hell is going on in this little civilization, high standard of living society, what's really going on, you have heard about the Rothschilds. And you should know everything about the Rothschilds. Well, you're gonna know everything now. If you haven't had the Rothschilds, well, Chief, your fucking researching abilities suck ass. I'm gonna be honest. Like most people wanna manifest a love interest, a relationships, family. I wanna manifest Lamborghini, a new car, little bit dollar bills. Bitch, these guys, the Rothschilds, Bowers, these guys manifested castles. These guys manifested 2/3 of the entire gold reserves of the world. These guys manifested half of the freaking money on this earth. These guys were so fucking good at manifesting, they manifested Israel on this earth. Think about that. Like there were a couple other guys manifesting Israel as well, couple other Zionists, but the Rothschilds made it happen. When these guys set their minds to something, they make it happen. They freaking psyops couple world wars to make Israel happen. And then they use Israel to manipulate and control the most powerful country in the world? That don't make any sense. How can it be the biggest, the baddest, the most powerful country in the world if this small little country in the desert controls it? What the fuck? What? Anyway, let's get into it. Moneymakers, amazing documentary. The Rise of the Rothschilds. Pen and papers ready. Salmon ready. Your brain has to be working optimally to learn about this shit. Also, let's do a little bit.
This is Frankfurt, Germany. 50 years after the Bank of England opened its doors, a goldsmith named Amschel Moses Bauer opened a coin shop, a counting house, in 1743. And over the door, he placed a sign depicting a Roman eagle on a red shield. The shop became known as the Red Shield Firm, or in German, Rothschild. When his son, Amschel Meyer Bauer, inherited the business, he decided to change his name to Rothschild. Amschel soon learned that loaning money to governments and kings was more profitable than loaning to private individuals. Not only were the loans bigger, but they were secured by the nation's taxes. Mayer Rothschild had 5 sons. He trained them all in the skills of money creation, then sent...
These guys were infertile, and they were smart as fuck. They were all about that, creating that family. Seemed like a good guys, huh? They got their morals intact, huh?
them out to the major capitals of Europe to open branch offices of the family banking business.
Bro.
His first son, Amschel Meyer, stayed in Frankfurt to mind the hometown bank. His second son, Solomon, was sent to Vienna. His third son, Nathan, was clearly the most clever. He was sent...
But he paid the price in baldness. This guy had too big of a brains. But he had to sacrifice with the hair follicles.
To London at age 21 in 1798, 100 years after the founding of the Bank of England. His fourth son, Karl, went to Naples, and his fifth son, Jacob, went to Paris. In 1785, Mayer Amschel moved his entire family to this larger house, a 5-story dwelling he shared with the Schiff family. This house was known as the Green Shield. The Rothschilds and the Schiffs would play a central role in the rest of European financial history and in that of the United States. The Rothschilds broke into dealings with European royalty here at Williamshof, the palace of the wealthiest man in Germany. In fact, the wealthiest monarch in all Europe, Prince William of Hesse-Kassel. At first, the Rothschilds were only helping William speculate in precious coins. But when Napoleon chased Prince William into exile, he sent £550,000, a gigantic sum at that time, to Nathan Rothschild in London with instructions for him to buy consols, British government bonds, also called government stock. But Rothschild used the money for his own purposes. With Napoleon on the loose, the opportunities of wartime investments were nearly limitless. William returned here sometime prior to the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. He summoned Rothschild and demanded his money back. The Rothschilds returned William's money with the interest the British consuls would have paid him had the investment actually been made. But the Rothschilds kept all the past profits they had made using William's money.
Freemason right over here. So, they were actually pretty smart guys, huh? Pretty smart folks. Let's learn some more. They seem like a good bunch of fellas.
Nathan Rothschild later bragged that in the 17 years he'd been in England, he'd increased his original £20,000 stake.
Damn, boy. He didn't start from the bottom, huh? That was incredible amount of money back in those times. So they definitely had some backing, but still, he freaking manifested bunch on top of that. But he had a little head start compared to most people back in the day.
Given to him by his father by 2,500 times. By cooperating within the family, the Rothschilds soon grew unbelievably wealthy.
That's how you need to do it. If you want to take over the world. We really want to break the world apart. Back to small tribes, small communities, decentralized, so we don't want to take over the world, but if you want to take over the world, you have to be extremely organized in secrecy. That's why these secret societies run this shit. Like they go behind the veil and then they push their little hidden hand out and control everything, but they are so organized, so smart behind the veil, and they coordinate with all the members. That's how they take over the world. Like we are so unorganized. We are fighting with each other with a bunch of freaking stupid ass shit. We are divided and conquered. Like that's the game. They are family. They're organized. They're working in secrecy. That's how they do it.
1800s, they dominated all European banking and were certainly the wealthiest family in the world. They financed Cecil Rhodes, making it possible for him to establish a monopoly over the diamond and gold fields of South Africa.
Yeah, that guy was pure evil.
In America, they financed the Harrimans and railroads, the Vanderbilts and railroads and the press, and Carnegie and the steel industry, among many others. In fact, during World War I, J.P. Morgan was thought to be the richest man in America. But after his death, it was discovered that he was actually only a lieutenant of the Rothschilds.
Hey, think about that. Maybe the Rothschilds are even some generals to some other families. I kinda think that, a little bit. But everybody was like, J.P. Morgan, and I've used J.P. Morgan a couple times in my videos. He was definitely very powerful and fucked a lot of things up in this world. But like this guy said, he was only a small player. The Rothschilds controlled him, like they did with many others. Behind the scenes. Actually, this is good time to tell the story how I learned about the Rothschilds. Because I was obviously interested about the world and how it works. But I have never heard about the name Rothschilds in my 19 years on this earth. But then I went to the Finnish military. And no, the Finnish military did not teach me about the Rothschilds, obviously. Like the school system I have just been part of 13 prior years, I never heard about the Rothschilds. Why is that? When they freaking control everything. They're one of the most important players in the world. And no freaking education system never told me about that. But it was this guy, a little bit older than me. I was 19 years old at the time. And we had this room, like this team in the army. 8 guys in one room, and he was one of the guys. He was a few years older than me. He was on testosterone, he was jacked, big muscles, really confident guy. I liked him a lot. And probably other people in the room were talking about like who runs the world or some political bullshit. And this guy was just in the corner eating something, I remember. And he just said, the Rothschilds, they own everything. They control the world. And he was like, kind of like laughing, like, how the fuck you guys don't know this shit? And I was like, Rothschilds? I never heard of that. In all those years in the educational system, never heard about that. What's this about the Rothschilds? And soon I realized, slowly but surely, that guy was completely right.
Once Morgan's will was made public, it was discovered that he owned only 19% of J.P. Morgan companies.
Look at that nose. This guy had to sacrifice his nose for all this wealth and power. God damn, that's ugly.
By 1850, James Rothschild, the heir of the French branch of the family, was said to be worth 600 million French francs. 150 million more than all the other bankers in France put together. He built this mansion called Ferrier, just east of Paris. Wilhelm I, on seeing it, exclaimed, "Kings couldn't afford this. It could only belong to a Rothschild." Another 19th century French commentator put it this way: "There is but one power in Europe, and that is Rothschild." There is no evidence.
Why did my history books tell me about this when I was in school? And I liked history. I always get straight 10s from history, bitch. Why the fuck weren't they talking about who really controlled 19th century, 20th century, who freaking made Israel happen? And it's freaking common knowledge that Balfour Declaration. They even made a freaking video in the Rothschild castle where one of the Rothschilds talked about it.
That their predominant standing in European or world finance has changed. Now let's take a look at the results the Bank of England had produced on the British economy and how that later was the root cause of the American Revolution.
Okay, let's go to the American Revolution tomorrow. One whole episode dedicated to the Rothschilds. Because we want to manifest just like those guys. We want to manifest the whole world, but completely the other way than they did. We want to free the world for the freaking grips, the freaking enslavement these guys put us under. There were a couple other guys probably ganging up with the Rothschilds, as we can see maybe in the future videos from this documentary. So anyway, that's the Rothschilds. Everybody should know about the Rothschilds. Ins and outs of the Rothschilds, like they're your own freaking family members. Because know your enemy.